Do you know how he died?
I do not.
Jack Daniels died in well, no, let me see. He started to die in 1906. Welcome back to Arsenic Culture. I am Matt.
I'm Jason.
And we got a new upgrade here. We've already done this once. We're doing it again because it wasn't recording. We got a new audio setup here from a brand called Nemono.
It's a cube.
Yeah, we got a little cube. We got lavalier mics. We ditched all the mics. We ditched all
headphones.
our monitors. But this is very liberating. This is very free. I feel like we can have a real discussion and not knock shit over. I just don't know if it's recording right now, but I think it is.
We're gonna say it is, but I'm gonna go back to what I said a minute ago when it wasn't recording.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Will Ferrell in the Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands still. I'm used to playing with the headphones or centered up my mic or something.
Yeah.
So
we're upgrading a little bit each time.
Yeah, maybe the audio might take a little bit to get used to, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get
so
there.
what have you been up to, man? You just went on a trip recently.
I did. I went to Michigan. I'm recovering from that trip.
Wait, how long were you up there for?
I was up there. I got up there Friday early and left Sunday early. So 2 nights, 2 full days.
Okay.
Meeting my beer group up there. It was a great time. Had a really good time.
Do you do like an annual trip? I know I've gone with you a couple times.
Yep, they do an annual one. This was Michigan. Been playing for a while. I didn't know if I'd be able to make it. Some work stuff came up, but then I was, so it worked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
How about you? What have you been up to?
Nothing. Just trying to fix all of our fucking problems with this damn podcast. And I think we're good. I don't know. Hope we're good.
We're gonna say we are.
Yeah. So no, I've done a few trips here, and I've been trying to recover. There's something about just like going on vacation and just like kind of partying, drinking a lot, to where you just kind of need a detox.
You need a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah, it's like I need to not drink, even though we already are. Look at this shit in this glass here, everybody. If you're watching. This is Standard Meadery out of Chicago. We've done a lot of content on them. But you can see all this crap floating in the glass. That's coconut. I'm pretty sure that's coconut, right? But this is a smoothie style mead with blueberry coconut. It's their
collab with Phase 3.
Yeah,
we just released this maybe a week or 2 back. So
yeah, and you brought it back, so thank you.
We did, yeah. Well, thanks Nick for proxying for us.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. So today we have a fun, interesting story about our friends down south in Tennessee. This is from Jack Daniels. Tell us what we have here, Jason, exactly.
Well, first off, it's not Kentucky bourbon, right?
Yeah,
so it's Tennessee
exactly
whiskey.
Right. Yeah, down south.
Now, it could be considered bourbon. If they wanted to, on Jack Daniels, if they wanted to call it bourbon, now this one's a rye, but in general,
Right.
If they wanted to call it bourbon, they could.
Yeah.
They just don't want to. They want to keep that unique. So kudos to them, I guess,
They
for
don't.
that process.
So are they just being like, oh, bourbon is like a sacred term?
I think it had been so long, the brand had been established when they could actually call it that.
Right.
They just said, screw it. We like it the way it is. It has a cult following.
Right.
I mean, I think in the store, if you're buying bottom, lower, mid-shelf bourbon, I mean, between Jack Daniels and Jim Beam, Jack Daniels' bottle looks 100 times nicer, right? It's that black, iconic.
Right.
I can picture, like, is it Jimmy Page or Robert Plant just tilting the bottle back,
Yeah.
John Belushi or whoever it was.
All of the above.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very iconic with rock stars and movie stars.
Yeah.
And alcoholics.
Yes. And Frank Sinatra, apparently.
He's got his own version.
Yeah,
Old
which
Blue
I
Eyes.
didn't know about that until I doing a little bit of research here, but that's pretty cool.
I think it's all like extra aged on his or something. It's something like a little different.
Is it
either
really?
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one here, our friends Anthony and Kenny and Steven, don't leave Steven out, from the Mashup podcast, actually got to go on a barrel pick. I know Anthony and Kenny went. I don't know if Steven did.
Okay.
But when they went down there to pick their barrels of Jack Daniels rye and bourbon, this was released. So our friend Jordan had told me about it. I messaged Anthony. It's a lot of people there. But I messaged Anthony, said, hey, will you pick us up a bottle? Which he did.
Yeah.
So this was a special release, distillery only. It's a twice barreled rye. So Tennessee straight rye whiskey. This one comes in a not so great package. I mean, it's not a sexy bottle if you're watching this on YouTube.
It's like a hip flask.
It's a pint, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pint, 100%. Little contour in the back so you can put it on your back pockets.
Exactly right.
But I mean, it is. I hope what's inside is unique and worth trying.
Right.
It's 107 proof. It's a 375 milliliter, which we just talked about. So it's a pint. This was $49 at the distillery only. There might be some other stores around getting it, I'm hearing.
Okay.
But it's still a very limited release.
Right on. Yeah.
if you put it in perspective, $100 for a fifth on a special release, I think that's fair. I mean, in this day and age. The big thing about this one is it's a unique rye grain bill, twice barreled in new charred white oak barrels. They've done this, I think, 2 times before, a similar one, but I'm anxious to see if this one's a little different. I have had the other 2.
They have multiple rye recipes, unlike some other distilleries.
So this is it. Allegedly, it's different than their other rye, but the big thing here is it's twice barreled, right? So they run it through one barrel and then put it in new charred oak barrels again to rebarrel it.
So we're thinking this is going to be pretty
I would say oaky. I mean, there's really this on the label.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you can see this.
What is that, piece of the barrel or just?
I would say it's not a piece of the actual barrel, but probably a piece of wood they found laying around. Wood.
Yeah, from the floor. Yeah.
But we're missing something, Matt. We need glasses.
Oh, well,
to pour this
maybe
in.
I can help out with that. We got some brand new swag here, my friend.
I'm excited to see these.
Look at that.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I contacted our friends over at Pretentious Beer Company. Well, Pretentious Glass Company. They're basically 2 businesses down in Knoxville, Tennessee. And the guy Matt down there, he actually started up here locally in Nicholasville, Kentucky. He moved down to Knoxville, but he was a glass blower by trade. And I've actually bought some of his stuff in the past, and he makes some really cool, unique items. And we had him make some glasses for us. You can see this here. It's got our brand new logo on it, and it's got a freaking skull on the bottom of it. Yeah.
Which you can't beat that.
Yeah, that's badass. So, but I wanted something big enough that we could use for.
That's very nice.
For beer and bourbon at the same time.
Yeah.
Keep that one. That one's yours. You take it home, and then this will be the drinking glass.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. I thought
First time I'm seeing these too.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
it's fun.
So it's like a cognac glass kind of mixed with
Yeah. I wanted something that's kind of wide so you can let everything breathe.
Oh, for sure.
I actually got a bunch of shit in mine.
I do too. It's called Tennessee Rye Whiskey.
Tennessee Rye Whiskey.
So as we're pouring that, give a little back history on some of the Jack Daniel's stuff. So I think most people listening's probably heard of Jack Daniel's. They're the second best selling whiskey brand in the world.
As in volume.
Volume behind Beam. That's whiskey brand.
Right.
The iconic Old Number 7, the black label we talked about with rock stars, all that stuff. Again, it does meet the criteria to be labeled as a bourbon. They just choose not to. The thing that sets them apart is the Lincoln County process. So it's charcoal filtered. And they make their own charcoal from hand sugar maple wood.
Ooh.
Hard sugar maple wood.
Hard hand.
I apologize.
Hand or hard.
Either way.
Maybe it's hardened by hand.
It probably is. So I remember Anthony talking about it, our friend again, but he was saying they had actually put it in this big kind of like a column, I guess.
Okay.
And they had put all that char in there and let the whiskey filter through it that way.
I got you.
So, I mean, I'd like to see that. I hate to miss the pick. Our other friends are going on this week, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
So what's the nose? What are you getting here? Whew, that is, that's strong. Take your breath on that first little whiff.
I'm not getting much oak on the nose, but it's very. I'm getting a lot of booze.
I'm getting booze and spice.
Yeah, I'm getting spice too. That rye spice that's kind of quintessential.
For 107, of course, it's a fresh crack. I mean, I think with a fresh crack, a lot of people would say you get a little different flavor than after it's been open a while. Maybe a little hotter on the nose and the taste.
Careful, that's actually. So this glass kind of holds everything in, and I took a breath when I
gotcha.
When I sucked in all like the gaseous fumes. It doesn't drink quite as hot.
It does not.
I don't think it drinks nearly as hot actually.
First sip, there's a lot of flavor there. A lot of things going on. Still getting a lot of oak. A lot of oak coming through.
See, I'm not getting as much as I thought we should. I thought there would be a lot more. But I'm getting a lot of spice. I'm getting a lot of sweetness too.
Very sweet.
I think it's very sweet.
Very sweet. Doesn't drink 107. I don't think it's the best rye I've ever had.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I got to try it.
Yeah.
So
is it getting you in the back of the throat?
It's getting me a little bit. It's like it's drying me out.
Yeah.
Like my palate's completely dry right now. You hear me kind of.
Well, it's not like you've been drinking for like 69 hours.
49 hours.
Yeah.
49
straight.
hours.
So
I'm sweating already, you know.
Yeah, you need like an IV, like a real IV.
I would have loved to have had an IV up there, honestly.
Have you seen those? There's companies. There's
They
like
do. They come
nurses
to
that
you.
go around and they'll like inject you and
They would have made
IV.
some money in Michigan with us, I'm pretty sure. There's about 20 of us up there.
Really?
So,
Did you all just stay at a house, or did you like go out and do shit?
We were everywhere. We did a lot of different stuff. We had like itineraries. We didn't follow them, but we had them. You know?
Okay. Well, I noticed you had me on the Chicago Google Maps list, and you added like some retirement home to it, and I was like, where the fuck are they going? Yeah, you added some Chicagoland funeral home, or not funeral home, as a retirement home.
I have no idea.
I was like, what the hell are they doing?
No, we were just in Michigan. I never really went through Chicago, no Illinois.
Really? Okay. Well, you were doing something up there to. I didn't know if you're passing through and like
No.
killing people on your way, like old ladies and stuff.
So, what do you know about Jack Daniels?
I know a few things.
Okay.
I know that Jack Daniels is the first registered distillery on the National Register of Historic Places.
Didn't know that.
As in 1866.
Okay.
I learned that they draw their water from the underground spring, which is Lynchburg Springs, and I guess that's a big thing for them.
Too. Yes.
Is it very well? Yeah, and that makes sense.
Stays cold
it's
all
like
the time.
Underground, yeah. I know how he died. Do you know how he died?
I do not.
Jack Daniels died in well, no, let me see. He started to die in 1906. So apparently, back then, like he had a safe, and I guess it's customary to like kick the shit out of your safe to open it.
Oh, I've heard this story.
And apparently he kicked it so hard he broke his toe.
Got infected.
And like, yeah, he got an infection and it just ended up getting worse and worse.
Gangrene.
And he ended up dying in 1911, like 5 years later, from that infection he got from breaking his toe from kicking a safe.
So he kicked the can, but it was really the safe.
Yeah, exactly. The can kicked him, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, I might know a little bit more. So Jack Daniel, Jasper Newton was his first couple names there. Okay. So Jasper Newton Daniel. His father died in the Civil War. He was taken in by Reverend Dan Call, who was a Lutheran minister and also a moonshine distiller. Makes total sense.
Goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's one and the same.
It's like peanut butter and bacon.
So in 1864, he learned distilling from Reverend Call and a distillery worker named Nathan Nearest Green. So we've heard about this. Yeah. So I think it came out in I think it was 2016. Brown Foreman, who owns Jack Daniels, came out and like kind of officially acknowledged that.
Right.
They had a lot of people coming to them and kind of telling them about the story of how this guy, who was a slave at one point, but then was freed as well. So when he taught them this and how to distill, from everything it looks like, Jack Daniels thought a lot of him.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever read anything online that said he didn't. I think he was open about how much he meant to their operations there.
Right.
Which is great. But back then, I think they probably had to keep that a secret a little bit more than you would today, just because.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the South, kind of where they were.
Yeah.
So anyway, in 2016, Brown Foreman fully embraced legacy. They changed their tours to reflect that. So since 2016,
changed their
on the
tours?
tour. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So actually talk about, hey, what impact Nearest Green, Uncle Nearest, had on Jack Daniels, the distillery.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool. Looking about this too, so what brought a lot of this into play was a lady named Fawn Weaver. She researched and then met with the Jack Daniel president. She wrote a book about it called Love and Whiskey. So she researched Nearest Green, all of his accomplishments, talked to people and everything, so kind of brought it to light.
And you're talking about
this is like 2016ish.
But you're talking about the distillery, Uncle Nearest.
No. So Uncle Nearest, Nearest Green.
Right.
Let me get back on track. So Nearest Green is the guy that actually was at Jack Daniels.
Exactly.
They would call him Uncle Nearest sometimes too, and that's where that brand came from. You've seen the brand in the stores,
yes.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this lady, this Fawn Weaver, is the one that actually kind of brought it to light to Jack Daniels.
I see.
Let them embrace it, do all this stuff. So it was a good thing. After the meetings and stuff, she actually included some of his descendants. I think Anthony and him talked about this on their podcast of this part of where Nearest Green's descendants and Jack Daniels' descendants make up over 50% of the employees of Jack Daniels today. They've stayed there.
What? No. You're saying they make up over half of the employees currently?
Yep. That was their statistic that he talked about.
That doesn't sound right. Think about that.
It was in Lynchburg, Tennessee, right? Middle of nowhere, so it's south of Nashville.
How many employees do you think Jack Daniels has, though?
God, I would think a lot, wouldn't you?
Right. There's no way. Like,
but look at
think
Buffalo
about how
Trace.
big your family is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Buffalo Trace, though, I don't know how many employees they have. I would say Jack Daniels is bigger.
Oh, I guarantee they're bigger.
I wouldn't think it's double, but it's bigger, I would think.
But they've got to have at least a few hundred, right?
Oh, I'd say. I was thinking like 3 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but in that area, I mean, hell, there's probably, a lot of people related to him. But now Jack Daniels never had any kids, so I guess it'd be like his families. I don't know.
I feel like there's a disconnect.
We're just going to scoot over that fact, Matt. Let's just leave it alone.
We'll pretend we didn't even say
Facts
that.
are optional.
Okay,
we'll just
exactly
erase
right,
that.
yeah.
That's what I heard. It's word on the street.
Okay.
Word on the street. So anyway, after the meetings and stuff, meeting with several of the descendants, Jack Daniels proposed adding the nearest green bottle to its master distiller series. But they ended up dropping the idea over concerns from inside and outside. It looked like Jack Daniels was kind of going to cash in on his name, so it might have been a bad look.
Okay.
So they kind of stopped that and just still honor him on the tours and still talk about him. Now here's where it gets a little weird. So in Uncle Nearest in 2017, the brand was founded by Fawn Weaver.
That's what I was talking about. That's what I thought you were talking about.
The lady that wrote the book, the lady who brought this to light. And then you look at that, I mean, we'll go through a little bit of that history. So the brand has 2 different whiskeys, a rye. They're going into cognac.
Are they really?
They are.
Uncle Nearest is going into cognac.
Uncle Nearest. They're actually valued by Forbes. This was May of this year at $1.1 billion.
Billion with a B.
Billion with a B.
Now you're talking about Uncle Nearest, not Jack Daniels.
Uncle Nearest, who is founded by Fawn Weaver.
By Fawn Weaver, right, exactly.
So the way I looked at this was the person who brought Uncle Nearest to light, who also convinced Jack Daniels not to do a distillery bottle to take advantage of his name, made a brand off his name.
Right.
That's worth $1.1 billion.
Yeah.
So I got to look a little bit and be like, am I reading something that, is that making sense to me?
Yeah.
That's where I thought, I don't know how you could do that. It makes me, and I'm sure there's stuff we don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Are you saying that she went behind their back and she was like, this whole time?
I feel like that you kind of did, right?
And to me, it kind of seems like maybe she had foresight, like it was a plan all along, and she knew what she had an agenda,
I think your family is into a lot of businesses. I think your husband's like an investment banker or something like that too. I think she had some businesses as well. But, being true to the past, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a weird angle, right? Like to make that brand like that.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like maybe she had an agenda. She had a goal, and she was like, she knew all along that was going to be her baby. And maybe she kind of kept the whole Jack Daniel enterprise at arm's length and was like, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let me get your feedback. But and she always had it in her back pocket. She was like, this is what I'm going to run with.
I think the saving grace for me would be is hopefully she's taking care of some of his family from that money, from that name.
Well, she is. Their master blender is actually Victoria Edie Butler, who is also a descendant of Uncle Nearest Green. So she's kind of following in that same pathos where she's including the family in it. So I think hopefully it's kind of the same thing. Now, one thing I did see is they have an ungodly amount of awards, which I think is ridiculous.
Pay to play.
Exactly right. And it's like, I read through them. They've got to have a couple hundred medals. But when you have that much, it's just kind of the point where you just kind of sit back and cross your arms like, okay, really?
It's hard to believe.
And some of them are like, the World Spirits Competition in
Arsenic Culture, Lexington, Kentucky, Matt's basement, gold medal.
Exactly. It's like something, is done in the basement of some guy's mom's house. But you know what? They got a gold in that one. So
I think some other ones on there too, looking at interesting facts. So Uncle Nearest is sourced. So they're sourced from Tennessee distilleries, not Jack Daniels. They don't have an affiliation with them.
Yeah.
Rumored to be Dickel. I mean, it makes sense. It's Tennessee.
That's like the other big Tennessee.
Correct. They did get in some trouble. Maybe trouble's the wrong word. A little while back, couple years. Lack of transparency on where their sources were from, what the mash bills were. Definitely got a lot of flack online, the public eye at that point.
Were they trying to pass it off as their own?
I don't think they were. I think they were more of it's Jack. I mean, you assume it's Jack Daniels. You think about it.
You would, yeah.
And Brown Forman.
It actually took me a little bit of time to kind of draw that separation because I initially assumed it was the same brand under the same umbrella.
Correct.
You know,
I
is
would've
Jack
too.
Daniels who they owned by?
Brown Forman.
See, I just assumed it was under Brown Forman. So I kind of had to do some digging, and it took me a couple of clicks online to figure out and like read through and be like, oh, this is completely separate.
Totally separate.
Yeah.
But just kind of interesting there. I'd love to know the backstory on it, but it caught my eye this year when I saw that Forbes valued them at that. So I'm sure they're looking to sell, be my best guess.
I guess.
I would if I had a $1.1 billion brand. That's hard to quantify, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know what all goes into that valuation process. There's maybe intellectual rights that they're inflating on that. I really have no idea.
But I think the Forbes valuation carries more weight than probably Matt and Jason, right?
I guess
slightly more.
Just a little bit. I don't see where all that 1.1 billion is coming from.
I don't either. So back to the whiskey. What are you thinking about this? We revisit it and visit it again.
A little bit more. I mean, it's starting to grow on me. So it wasn't hot, but it was like a little heated. But after a couple sips, like I mean, it's actually drinks. It's pretty smooth. Yeah.
Yep.
It's the first sip. I thought it had a lot more body. It's actually a little thin to me now. I don't want to say it's basic, but there's not a whole lot of dimension. You get that kind of traditional rye spice with it. I do like the sweetness that's in there. I want to say it's kind of like a maple syrup sweetness, but I don't want to say I'm drawing that from like the wood that they use because I don't think that's necessarily the same thing.
I could see that though. I feel like it's maple syrup, maybe like a baking sweetness, right? Like you have like sweetness in the cake.
Kind of
yeah. For me, I think it's oily. I think it's not. I think the viscous part you're saying it's a little thin. I think it's a dryness for me. Like when I taste that, it dries my palate out completely. Like really. I'm like losing my voice trying to talk and shit about it.
Eyes getting all red and watery.
That's just been that way for 3 days. But I mean, so $50. What do you think? Would you buy this again for $50?
So full disclosure, I'm not a big Jack Daniels fan.
Same. General stuff.
Yeah. The last time I had Jack Daniels, I've told you the story. I was at Louder Than Life. Some drunk guy bought me and my buddy Steve a shot, and he was from Michigan. He was like, "Get whatever you want," and the only whiskey they had was a Jack Daniels tent. And I was just like, this guy was being such a douche, and I was just like, "What's the most expensive one they got?" And I was like, "Oh, single barrel. I was like, let's do that." And they poured up 4 shots, and it was like $25 or $30 a shot.
Okay.
Yeah, and this guy was like, "Is that tab right?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it." But we shot it, and it was so hot. And this was our very first drink of the day at like 11:30, and we just we put it down, and it's just like it burned like the fire of 1,000 suns. Yep. The other guy was like, he bent over, was drooling. He's like, "I'm gonna throw up, dude." Like that was like the end for him. So that's like my most recent Jack Daniels experience. But even like the regular stuff, like if we go out to a bar, I'll mix it with something, you know.
Jack and Coke, right?
Exactly
Black label Coke.
Yeah, but beyond that, like I'm not a big Jack guy. So as in comparison to the standard number 7, I do like this quite a bit better.
Oh, for sure.
But
not even close on
for
that.
$50 for a pint like that.
So let's call it $100 for $7.50.
Right.
$100 for a fifth.
Yeah, I probably pass.
Yeah, I think this is one I would buy one bottle of. Yeah. Hang out. I might have spent $100 on it and have the $7.50. The one thing I'd say about it, though, is just Jack Daniels. So you've heard of King of Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
You've heard of that one. So that's actually Brown Forman, right?
Okay.
And then you look at like Woodford, right? So that's Brown Forman too.
Yeah.
You also look at some of the Jack Daniels. You talked about the single barrels that you tried.
Yeah.
They have single barrel picks that are barrel proof. So a rye and a bourbon. Me and you and Drew tried one of the ryes when we were over here last time.
Yep, I remember.
It was hot. I mean, if you're not, because I think it was 131 something and change. But those can be some standout bourbons.
Right.
And then you look at, they call Coy Hill, which is like a very high-proofed Jack Daniel's single barrel strength bourbon, right? I don't think they do Coy Hill ryes, but maybe. Either way, the bourbon, over 140, almost all those. Golly. And it sounds like rocket fuel. It is rocket fuel.
It is rocket fuel.
It doesn't taste like rocket fuel. It's like rocket fuel light,
Oh, God.
But it's some of the best. It's the best higher proof bourbon I've probably ever had. The Coy Hills I've tried that with Jesse and Jade had some to share.
I was doing some research on some future topics, and I stumbled on some like really strong spirits. and they make a. I'm going to try to get this vodka. We haven't done a vodka episode.
I don't think we have, no.
And there's so much history behind vodka. It's actually stupid. Just doing some preliminary research, it's actually really amazing. But I
think
found
potatoes, but I know it's not all vodka's made of potatoes.
And honestly,
yeah.
most of it's actually grain.
Yeah.
But you can do it with potatoes or rye or whatever. But there is there's this really crazy rare vodka from Canada I'm going to try to get. It's called Totem. It's like made from a single strand of Canadian wheat from like this one field over in like, some like weird place. And then it's like the water is drawn from like a specific spring. It's so like convoluted. It's like, we have to get it,
The same cows bring it back and forth. Is that it?
But then I saw there was there's a vodka in Poland and it's cheap. It's like $20 and it's like 95% alcohol.
Gosh, damn.
Yeah. It's stronger than
Everclear, essentially.
It's stronger than Everclear. It's stronger than pure grain.
So I wonder what would you might know the answer, but I wonder what differentiates. How is it not neutral grain spirit like Everclear?
I think it is. I think it has to. It's probably nuanced from.
Must be a process with vodka that you have to follow that's a little different than
something with the filtration process, I believe. I guess, but. We'll talk about vodka when we get into it. But yeah, I was like 95, 96% alcohol. Could you imagine drinking that?
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean,
I think you're going to. I think we're going to try it.
I mean, I'll try it once.
Speaking of rocket fuel, right?
Yeah, I mean, that'd definitely be. That might be the strongest thing I've ever drank.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a feeling, though, Jack Daniel's Cool Hill is probably a little better than that.
I don't know. I might be able to give it a run.
So this one, is it worth it? I'd probably buy one bottle. Matt would pass.
Yeah.
Secondary on this wouldn't be much more above retail. Let's say it's $150, $200 for a fifth. I probably wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't pay over retail once for sure.
No, I'm glad I got to try it.
But worth trying. Love the glasses.
I know.
Love the audio setup.
We need to get some of these and give them away.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the fucking monitor. For more Arsenic Culture, you can check us out on all the socials at Arsenic Culture, and we have a YouTube channel as well.
I think we're going to do a giveaway on this one too.
On this one?
So what we're going to do on some of the episodes that we film, especially like the bourbon samples or rye samples, we're going to fill a sample bottle. Of course, we would send it to an adult through a liquor store.
That's what you're supposed to do. Exactly
wink, wink,
right.
wink, wink, wink. But we're going to do some kind of contest on social media if you'd like to have a sample of this one. The Jack Daniel's Twice Barreled Tennessee Straight Rye Whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
We will follow, comment. We'll make a little contest and we'll see what we can get.